And good morning for those of us who are still in morning hours, and good afternoon for those of us who are a few hours ahead of us here in Michigan. Welcome back to the second episode of Her Bold Voice LinkedIn Live show. I'm going to do this to her because I know her well enough. I can do this. She's already knows what I'm going to do. I have the amazing Kristie Clayton on with me today. And I'm going to do a little bit of teasing around all of that of how I came to her. But welcome back. Her Bold Voice. I love showcasing fascinating women. And yes, there is some great spaces in this show for some great men as well. We don't like to leave the men out. But these are women that are really owning their voices, breaking through the boldness, and they're claiming the success on their terms, leaving other people's other opinions aside. They are managing through the imposter and really taking a hold of their inner critic. And that I'm going to stop there with those two things because that's my part of my keynote that I just redid and everything. So if that any of you out there today sounds like you, I would love to have a dialogue. Just hop into the back end of LinkedIn and say, hey, Kim, let's have a conversation. I'll be there for you. But enough of that. Let me bring, as she's already on. And by the way, please take note, everybody. I love when my guests go to the brand of Kim Boudreaux Smith colors and their lipsticks. I love it. I love it. Okay. And by the way, that's unplanned. But again, I know I've known Kristie for a long time and I can do these little fun nudges with her. But Kristie Clayton is the founder and visionary of Female Integrator Mastermind, aka FIM, and ExcelHER8 Leaders. Love the name of her business. She is also a coach, mentor, keynote speaker, and she is a badass integrator. Recognizing women have the power to do extraordinary things, Kristie has founded Female Integrator Mastermind, FIM, and international peer-to-peer mentoring platform for women integrators who run their business on the Entrepreneur Operating System, also known as EOS. Her passion is rooted in encouraging women to be their best selves. This dynamic community of women provides networking and support, resources to encourage and propel women forward in their leadership positions to reach maximum career potential while making a significant contribution to their company's growth. Kristie strives to help nurture the greatness in others. Simply put, Kristie wants to change the world. Kristie wants to change the world. Kristie is changing the world. Let's just say that. This is why she founded ExcelHER8 Leaders, a premier coaching program that guides clients to be in command of their own personal and professional lives while leading their businesses with precision and intention. These women uncover their badass within themselves. I love it. Kristie, thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to have a conversation.
Yes. And so I do, I have to bring this up. Let's get this out of the way. So here's how Kristie and I met. And by the way, let's get clear, I am not a female integrator, but I run in the realms and the world of these badass female integrators. And sometimes I might say I get a little intimidated because they are really creating impact and making change in the world. But there's a few female integrators here right in the Detroit area that, everyone knows everybody. And I was out to breakfast with them a couple of years ago, one morning. And I had said to them all, I'm like, okay, who did the introduction and the referral of Kristie Clayton to me? And they're like, oh, you're going to meet Kristie Clayton. And I'm like, yeah. Okay. So who's Kristie Clayton? What's going on here? That's the Kristie Clayton, the one who created FIM. And I'm like, why did you guys do that to me? I haven't gotten to the call yet. It was so I have this loving ongoing joke with you, Kristie. And that one morning of breakfast with these women, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to meet the Kristie Clayton. I want everyone to know, with that being said, Kristie Clayton has got one of the biggest hearts that you constantly wear on your sleeve. And, you do it so perfectly imperfect, unapologetically. And, I know you're in high demand, especially when you're hosting which this is gonna segue into, we're gonna start with the FEM conference because I missed the FEM conference this past year, but the year before I was there, and you've got a lot of women. You're very extremely visible. They want you, they need you, they desire you. So you're in very, very high demand. But will you share with us the story of how FEM, that conference, I love the story, how it started.
Yeah. So FEM actually started from a need of me being able to connect to my own peers. And so I had an amazing opportunity to be able to go to the very first Integrator Mastery Forum, or IMF, and to the first EOS conference. And when I came back from both of those events, what I realized is I needed to be connected with those people more than just on a once or a twice a year basis. And so I had reached out to several women that I had met at both events. And I said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Like, can we start off in just a group chat where we're helping each other, encouraging each other? We're able to ask each other questions so that we can get better as integrators, and ultimately we can impact our companies and help it move forward faster. And luckily, 5 women said yes. And so the group started that way. And then slowly but surely over time, we started adding in more benefits. So we have workshops that we do on a monthly basis. We have forums that we do in a couple of different ways. We have roundtables, which is our members meet 90 minutes every other month, just to IDS with one another, which is incredible, by the way. And IDSing with a group of integrators is absolutely amazing. And then we actually have masterminds that are meeting as well. So it's a full day agenda. And then the summit started because I really had this desire of like these we're doing some really amazing things. The conversations we're having through the text that we're having, virtually through the workshops, all of this is incredible. What could we do if we were together in person for a couple of days? And
Mm.
so I had 11 women that trusted me enough to go to a cabin in the woods, literally a cabin in the woods in Nashville. And we spent 2.5 days together. And we were asking each other questions. We were growing. We were forming these relationships and these connections. And what actually ended up happening was so much more than I ever anticipated. Not only were we growing and developing as leaders, but we were also starting to realize we are not alone in our role. We're not alone in the challenges that we're facing. Our companies were going through similar things in different ways, but we just had this connection. And what has happened subsequently over the last 7 years is that group of women, from the cabin in the woods, or those original 5 women, we still are part of this group. And to look back and see where we were versus where we are is incredible. Our growth, our development as leaders, as integrators, our companies have moved forward in profound ways. And I contributed to the fact that we were having conversations with each other, because I would have stumbled over several of the things that I was able just to ask people. How did you do this? What worked? What didn't work? What can I learn from you? So that's kind of how all of it got started. And we're going on our 7th one this year. And you actually got to come to our Nashville, where we revisited Nashville as a full-blown conference. And to look back and see where we started with the original 11 in the cabin in the woods to the summit that particular year, it was beautiful. It was really, really beautiful. A lot
I
more women and a lot more growth.
I love your humble beginnings. I mean, that's a humble beginning. And by the way, it is a humble beginning. And there's been a lot of humbling growth. And Kristie still stands there very humbled by all of this. And yes, I went to the one in Nashville a year ago this November. It was, yeah, November is when November, yes. A year ago. And it was my first time at FIT. And I'm not a female integrator, like I said. And I don't run an EOS, even though right here in the Detroit area, Gino Wickman, who created, invented, and developed EOS, lives like 20 minutes from my home. And there's a lot of EOS beautifulness going on around here. But I walked in, I didn't know what I was expecting. And I try not to set expectations. And I think, I don't know if you remember in the midst of all that, I grabbed you and went, wow. Wow. I mean, wow. The vendors and the speakers and the food and the night dinner and wow. And just to be clear, yes, this is Kristie's, this is her vision. This is her integraterness, so to speak. She has a full-blown team that is also there in support. So the point of why I'm saying that is, look, we could sit here all by ourselves, either in an organization, brick and mortar, or in the brick and mortar of our homes, entrepreneur or leader in organizations, and we can sit there and say, "I got this. I can do this by myself." And I'm going to tell you, when that is going on, what is happening. That's that internal critical scaredy dialogue that we allow to dominate us. We need help. We need groups. We need to be around other women. Like Kristie's saying, asking, "What'd you do?" I just try. I tried this. This didn't work. How do I tweak here? It's like a car. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. Well, it's an oil. Did you try this oil? Well, that oil made my car clunky, so I got to maybe go to this oil over here. I don't know why I came to the car analogy, but I it's beautiful how, and you are all about collaboration and community. You won't have it any other way. You just will not
No.
have it any other way. And I'm going to give a huge international shout out. Female integrators. Competition does not run through their DNA and bloodline. Collaboration, support, community. It blows me away to be in front of a bunch of women that they are like, "How can I serve you? How can I support you?" Well, wait a minute. It just blows me away every single time. And it's not just one or two, it's the whole dynamic. So kudos to you for seeing a little bit of a pain point and offering up a big, huge ass solution around all of this.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, please. Just give a little snippet of what an integrator is for those people that don't run in an EOS world and an integrator world.
Yeah. So the way I love to describe an integrator is they are the person who loves the execution. Doesn't mean they're executing themselves, but they're working with the leadership team. So I often say they work with the visionary or the CEO that sees what the company is going to do. And then they are the ones that are responsible for interpreting that vision and sharing it with the leadership team who then execute it together. So we're running the day-to-day business and focused on that vision and how do we move forward, making sure that we're accomplishing the vision.
Yeah, thanks. That's a great sum up. That was absolutely beautiful. All right. Now let's hop over to ExcelHER8.
Yeah.
How did you come into this? And tell me a little bit what's going on with that as well.
Yeah. So it was probably 2 or 3 years ago where people started asking me, Kristie, when you talk about femme, your whole body language changes and you just get like super excited. You glow, your face lights up, like you are truly passionate about these women. Why are you not doing that full time? And I was an integrator of a wealth management firm and I loved my people. I loved what I was doing. And so, FIM really was a passion project for me. And then the more and more and more people started, reinforcing this language of, you're passionate, you glow, there's an excitement around FIM. I started to realize it in myself too. So I took several long, hard clarity breaks with myself and
Mhm.
really tried to determine like, what is my purpose in life? Like, where am I really truly giving my best self? Where am I going to pour in for the next 10, 15 years, to make sure that I am providing value to those around me? And what I realized is it was the women. It was absolutely the women. And so I started developing different tools and techniques to really hone the integrator skills, and recognizing where are some people's weaknesses, myself included, and how can I help elevate them. And one of the biggest challenges I think that we sometimes have is just the confidence to know that we are running these companies at the level that we self-inflict on ourselves. Is it meeting my own expectations? And so helping women really determine like, what is your bold voice? You love your own branding, right? What does that boldness look like for you? And how do you sit into that seat and truly own the role and the responsibilities that you have with confidence. And so that's how ExcelHER8 came about is really I sold my partnership at the wealth management firm, and I'm leaning into being actually the visionary of FEM, and really truly understanding the direction that we're going, and then at the same time taking all of my skills that I've learned and really honed over the last 15 years and sharing it with the next group of integrators so that they can elevate themselves.
Being an integrator, and again, I'm on the outside looking in, even though I've worked with integrators and still continue to work with the integrators, it's a huge responsibility. And when you're working with these visionaries, and so I'm going to come into a little bit more of generalization terms, not to minimize anything, is the visionary is usually is the owner usually of a family-owned business, or it could be just a business. It doesn't necessarily have to be family-owned. And they are those those visionaries are they're here all the time, so they're up here all the time. And as an integrator, it's not kiboshing the energy of the visionary or their visions, but it's getting them to calm down and get more grounded, so that execution within the leadership team is driving forward the success of the business. Because if any of you have sat with these visionaries, I have a huge awe of these visionaries, because I'm not a visionary. I have a huge awe, but they pop. They're popping. They pop, and there's nothing bad, right, wrong, indifferent about this. And this is why they are very successful. If they have a good team in place and they've got a strong integrator in place, is they pop. They've got an idea on Monday, they want to execute it by Wednesday, got another idea on Thursday, execute by Friday, and then the team is like this: holy crap, I'm burnt out. So as an integrator, the coaching that Kristie is providing, as integrators, especially women, first of all, as we all know, there's not enough women in C-suite positions. There's not. Integrator is a C-suite position, and you've got to have the confidence. You've got to be able to maneuver some candid conversations, which, by the way, that's Kim Scott. Grab her book or Google her. She's fantastic. To be able to work with the visionary and also support and do the work with the leadership team, so everyone's not like pissed off and here we go again, type of thing. And I'm bringing it down into more layman terms, but you guys have a huge job.
It's a huge responsibility. And what you just described is what we call whiplash, right? There's an idea every other day and you're like, which one are we going to? And but that's the beauty of our visionaries, right? Is we need that from them. We really want them to think about the future. So the way I think about my visionary and my integrator is visionary really is future thinking, right? You're right, they're living in the clouds and they're thinking about all the things that we can do. And we desperately, as an organization, need that. The beauty of your integrator is in the here and now, right? So they hear all the things of where we're going and what we want to do. Yeah, thanks. My Mac just gave us a thumbs up. They're thinking about all the things that we can do. Integrators think about here and now. How do I take the things that we want to do and make it happen without the whiplash? And so they're kind of what I consider the interpreters between the visionary and the leadership team. They can really take the vision and all the thoughts and ideas of what the visionary is saying we should do as an organization, and then they can break it down into actionable items that the leadership team now can jump on board and start executing without the whiplash of back and forth. Because I will tell you, as a visionary myself, a lot of times when I'm saying, hey, I've got this thought, I've got this idea, I don't even know if it's a good idea. But when somebody hears me say it, they interpret it as, hey, go do this. That's not what I intended whatsoever. What I intended to say is, I got this idea. What do people think? So the integrator is really that great interpreter of no, 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 we're not like these are the things we're going to focus on. This is the direction that we're going. We're going to put these other things on a list. And then that way we can explore them when the time is right. But the time right now is to really make sure we're executing this part. So we need both people. We need that visionary thinking forward. We need them thinking big. In fact, I love when my visionaries think huge. I want to hear all of the things that you want to do. But then the integrator is really, really great at the here and now and the execution.
Yes, agreed, agreed. And real quickly, Karen Palm is in here with us, and I just saw this, and first of all, everybody that is tuning in today, thank you so much. And normally I don't acknowledge comments. It's not because I'm ignoring you, but boy, she said something. Co-creation is so beautiful. Co-creation is extremely beautiful, and to have several minds within the co-creation is so much better than just the one that could really go derail and go south. All right, Kristie, share with me when you stepped in to your first bold moment.
Oh, oh, my first bold moment. Wow. I think I was gifted at a very young age of being courageous. Um, and what I started to realize is there's a difference between being courageous or brave and actually being bold. And so I think one of my first bold moments, Kim, was to declare bold as one of my affirmations. So my affirmation, I am bold, and my interpretation of that I am bold is that I will be courageous and brave enough to be the one that does sit at the table and brings up the hard conversations, brings up the celebratory things that we really need to be recognizing and acknowledging, but also the hard stuff too. And that's not always easy. It's also being bold enough to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves, and myself is one of those, right? Um, you just have to for myself, I had to find a step above and beyond of who did I choose to be. I was gifted with being courageous and brave, but I needed to be bold enough to be bold.
Mm-hmm. It's everything you just said there was completely priceless. And of course, you opened up the door, which is this is another thing I know very intimately about you are those three words or the two words, and I'm going to add a third word, the I am affirmations, and how they're so influential to you. Could you? Because I think that's also part of your bold moments as well, the I am affirmations. So if you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, so I had selected affirmations many years ago, and they were just 3 words or 4 words that I had selected. And what I started to realize as I kind of as I approached 40 years old, I decided I was going to go on this journey of self-discovery and really truly know and understand who I was as an individual. And part of that was, oh, well, I want to have affirmations. I want to grow my confidence. I want to grow who I am as an individual. And so I'm going to select affirmations. And I appreciated them. They got me through a couple of things. But when I had a life-changing moment was when I realized that I had selected these affirmations, but I did not believe them about myself. And so I literally sat down in a clarity break with myself and just said, what am I going to do with this? I have a choice right now. I am going to change my affirmations, and I am going to really discover who I am. And I had an amazing conversation with Jill Young, who is an EOS implementer. And she said, Kristie, it's not about who you are, it's about who you choose to be.
To be. Mhm.
Who do you choose to be? And that was like a life altering moment for me where I was like, that was an aha moment of I get to choose. I get to choose who I get to be. And that was the self-discovery of, I am brave was one of my affirmations. And that was a gift. I mean, it was natural for me to be brave. But who I choose to be is bold. Who I choose to believe, what I choose to believe is that I am enough. I've worked really, really hard to achieve the things that I have achieved, and I am enough. I don't have to be somebody else. I oftentimes would have these moments when I would say, well, You're not Nicole Minicky, so you need to sit down and you need to stay inside your box and just be this person that you are. And oh, that Katie Sandquist, she's a whole lot better at that than you are. And Melissa Bushman, she's so much more than. And I did these comparisons of myself to all these beautiful women that I admired. And when I sat down with myself, I realized I don't have to be them because I am me, and that's enough. And you asked about a bold moment. I shared that in front of the entire summit one year, that I compared myself to all of these women who are incredible. And when I had conversations with them, what I realized is they had things that they admired about me too. And so it's okay. You are enough. And I am worthy is my third affirmation. Like I said, I've worked hard. I really have done the hard work on myself. I've done the hard work in my business. And so it's okay for me to be worthy of all of these things. I am bold. I am enough. I am worthy. Sorry, not sorry. I'm going to stand in my truth. I'm going to stand in the value that I bring. And these are them. And my aha moment this last year was when I really thought about these three words together. What does that actually mean? It means that I'm unstoppable. It means I'm unstoppable. And when I put my mind to something, I'm going to do that. And I do that. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So all of my strength comes from him and from, believing in the gifts and talents that he has given me. And that I will use my voice to do all of the things that I'm supposed to do.
Yes. That was absolutely beautiful. And not, first of all, my multiple favorite C words is the confidence and clarity and courage. But boy, when we start slipping into that comparison,
Oh,
because it's we want to go after confidence. The second we slip into that comparison, it's like an iceberg. We start chipping away at the confidence. We chip away at our courage, our confidence, the clarity, because we're out of our bodies and we give ourselves away. And I talk to so many women. They want to own their bold voice and reclaim their bold voice. And it's not about finding it, because you do have it. And it's not about I have no confidence. You do have confidence. It might not be in the realm of where you want it to be, which by the way takes work. And I don't want to get down a whole other road here, but just FYI, everyone that's listening, confidence is a muscle. Now, if you lacked sleep like I did the night before because I had a dog that got up at 3 a.m. in the morning, is my confidence going to be as strong as I'd like it to be? No, but I allow that gracefully, unapologetically, and definitely imperfectly. And that's the beauty of these I am affirmation statements, but create your own. I don't know if everyone just heard how Kristie's got her 3. And then she took it. It's like a mathematical equation there, but you made a beautiful story out of it. And because I am these, then my being is this.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've never heard you explain. I've heard you explain that before, but I've never really to that extent heard you explain those like that before.
Yeah. Well, and I love what Karen just said. She said, I love being bold, but I agree it takes courage and facing our fears big time. But I think that is the beauty of affirmations, is when you are having those self-doubt moments, you can tell your inner critic the lies that it's telling you. Stop. Those are lies that you're telling me, because I'm going to speak my truth. And my truth is I am bold, I am enough, and I am worthy. Those are mine. So there, you can really use your affirmations in ways to really solidify in yourself, like who you choose to be, but also to snap yourself out of those doubtful moments. Because facing our fears is one of the biggest worries that I have. Like, right, it's a concern I'm at. I don't want to fail, but facing that fear of failure is a real thing for me. So if I'm able to snap myself back into a moment of truth instead of self-doubt, then that's where I can really see, value and impact that I'm making. So that's, affirmations to me are something that I'm very, very passionate about.
Yes, and you've also created some beautiful cards around, which they're over on my other desk as I'm thinking about this going, oh my gosh, because they're there from this morning. I didn't grab them. Some beautiful cards, and you're in the process of publishing a book around a lot of this as well, which it will shortly here be able to give links where people can go to and grab all this stuff as well. So when was the last time that inner critic, that hag, was a chomping at the bit at you?
Well, it was about, what, 32 minutes ago, right before we started getting on this call, right? Am I worthy? Like, am I really enough to show up on Kim Boudreaux Smith's LinkedIn Live? So, but again, I was just like, you know what? Kim invited me because there's a value that I bring. So I'm going to stand in my truth. And my truth is that I am worthy of being on this show with you. So again, it snapped me back into my truth, my reality, that it's okay for me to be on your show.
At the end of the day, it's all about that compassionate inner bold voice, which that's my business. I mean, it's more than just a darn keynote. The keynote is very important. It's more than just a keynote.
Yeah.
And again, Karen put up another comment and says, we never fail. So we either win or you learn. And
Yeah.
it's interesting, Karen, a very dear friend of mine here in the Detroit area, and she's one of my trainers that I go to, Pilates, and she's more than Pilates. She has, for her 13-year-old daughter, they have this beautiful piece of artwork in the hallway, she told me, and it says the same thing. You either win or you learn. And talk about something teaching her 13. Sloan will correct me, 13 and a half. She's 13, but it is when we do make mistakes or we do fail, those are opportunities of learning. And by the way, newsflash, everybody listening, you're gonna make mistakes. To err is beautifully human, for God's sakes. But it's what we do with all that. It's what we do. It's either we can take that critical, beat down, horrible dialogue voice that goes off inside of us, and we can flip it around to another one of my favorite words, C words, compassionate. Because I don't know about you, sometimes when my internal voice gets so darn critical, I would never spew it out to somebody else.
Yep.
So why in the hell are we doing this to ourselves?
Yep.
Again, we do need to stop that and learn how to be gentle with ourselves when we slip up, because we're gonna slip up.
Right. Well, one of the tools that I'm teaching right now, quite a few of my clients that are going through this, is what I call release and replace. So all of the negative inner criticism, or all the things that somebody has said to you that makes you feel a certain way, or whatever is happening, you have to release that. Right. So what I love to do is an exercise where I write it all down. Like, I literally write down everything that was my inner critic said to me, or, that someone said to me, or the situation that happened that I'm disappointed in. I write down my emotions with it. I write, like, literally anything and everything that comes to my head. I just write it all down. And then one of the most beautiful things is when I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, I've let go of everything, so I tear it, right? And I tear that paper up into tiny, tiny pieces. And then here's the beauty of what I've taught myself, and what I'm teaching my clients, is take that garbage and put it in the garbage.
The dog poo-poo can. The dog poo-poo can. We have dogs. The dog poo-poo can outside. Put it in the dog poo-poo can.
Yes. And so release that. Let it go. Elsa, that stuff. Let it go. Really, truly let it go. But then what I've learned is that you also have to replace it with something else.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we release something, but then what do we do now? And you have to replace it with something else. So the next step I will take is to write down the truth, and whether it's journaling or, having a clarity break and just a moment with myself. I love to light a candle, put on some really great music, and just be with myself to remind myself of who I really am. And so releasing it lets it go. But then what do you replace it with? Write a love letter to yourself. Tell yourself the things that you're really, really great at. Get back into your moment of truth, and don't let yourself, just be with this negativity. Replace it.
I agree. We got to replace it and be gentle with yourself too, because when we're flipping up new habits and new tools and skills and stuff, allow yourself again like that little slip back. Or for me, when I change up things like that, I go real strong for a couple of weeks and then all of a sudden I hit that wall and then it's like, darn it, nothing ever works. Oh, there's that criticalness.
Yep.
So be gentle. You're going to hit as you're changing up dialogues and communication with yourself and focuses and habits and whatever you want to call it. You're going to get to a point where there's going to be something. It's a matter of to breathe and move through it, or do you
Right.
let that derail you and stop you? So, Christy, before we go on to my next question, is can you let everyone know where they can get in touch with you?
Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Kristie Clayton. Or you can also just email me at Kristie Clayton. I'm sorry, Kristie at integratormastermind.com.
Yes, yes. But, by the way, everyone, connect with Christy on LinkedIn. I love a lot of the stuff that you put out there, and I try to get in and do some commenting. All right. I want to know in your life, who was your biggest, most boldest influence?
By far my grandmother. Um,
Um,
her name was Patty Melton, and, I called her Mimi, and, she was born with, she had high fever, and lost her hearing at a very young age, and, I got to witness her, really just be this beautiful person in a time when, disabilities weren't really they were looked down upon, when she was young and thriving, and she took her disability and made it an advantage for herself. And even as a woman, back in the 50s and 40s and 50s and 60s, where, she really was really young and thriving, she really owned that. She was a woman and all the beautiful things that she was able to contribute to the world because of who she was. And then she used her disability as an advantage as well. She has done amazing things for the deaf community in Oklahoma. There's a place that they can attend that still exists to this day because her and a group of friends, she stood up to Congress and shared her story, and just shared with anybody that would listen why people with a disadvantage needed to be heard just as much as anybody else. And she passed away 4 years ago, this week, and I miss her and all of her boldness. But I know that I got my strength and my courage from her by far, by far.
I know that she's been a huge influence on you, and and still in this very moment, a huge influence on you,
Absolutely.
even though she has passed on. So, wrapping up the show, Christy, I mean, what are your remaining words to everybody that is listening, and how they can keep moving forward and level up their badassery in leadership?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things that come to mind. First of all, believe in yourself. Nobody's going to believe in you until you believe in yourself. So, whatever that looks like for you. And then I would also say the other thing is surround yourself with your people, whether it is a peer group or it is, friends or whoever it is that really build you up and develop you and grow you as an individual. And maybe it's both, but just really find those people that will support you. And I would also say find that person that will call you on your BS, right? Because it's wonderful when we have people telling us how awesome we are all the time, but it's that person who says, are you living up to your own expectations? That person who really challenges us and holds the mirror up to us and says, "Hey, I don't think you're being the person that you say you want to be." They are sometimes the most um, influential in the way that we develop. You obviously want someone who's going to do it with kindness and with the right intentions, but really finding your people to really help you grow to that next level. That's what FEM was for me. And then for me, the coaching was the next step. And you've been an amazing coach to me, as well as Mary Pat Knight, who really helped me see the potential and the growth that I have. So between FEM and my coaches, I really was able to grow to that next level and to have the confidence in myself to be able to show up as my bold self.
Yes, absolutely. It's always one step in front of the other, as opposed to losing our I am not enough in this moment, but I want to be like this over here. And yes, you can get to that over there, but let's not look down upon ourselves because we're not over there yet, that it's one step at a time. And things don't happen overnight. I want to get we real clear this overnight sensation, because now we're coming into it. We just entered a new year, coming out, a new year, and everybody is like, got to do this. Oh my God, to be this, and God, oh my gosh, it's like, no, let's just find some beautiful consistency. Another one of my, I'm onto the C words today. Another one of my beautiful C words, but yes. So I highly recommend everybody connect with Kristie on LinkedIn. Kristie, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, bold voice with us today. I so appreciate you coming onto the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. Everyone, get on out there, make it a very bold day, owning your bold voice. Please do it on your terms. I'll see you right back here, same time, same place next Tuesday with another guest. Have a great week.